Hello and welcome to GTO Coach and Go. I'm Jim Delleman with Group Travel Odyssey. I want to thank you for joining us again today. Before we get started with our content, I do, as always, I want to remind you, if you would like to connect with us on LinkedIn, you can do so at Group Travel Odyssey. As well as that, please like our Facebook page. And if you are watching on YouTube, hit that subscribe button down below. And also, if you ring the bell, you'll be notified anytime we have new content on our YouTube channel. So we'd really appreciate it if you would do that for us. Also, a reminder that YouTube channel is great because it's kind of an archive for all of the previous episodes of Coach and Go, and also for our other media presentation, Destination Dispatch, which happens on Thursdays at 2 o'clock. So make sure you hit that YouTube channel for us. Today, we've got some really exciting information. We have been working for quite some time on the API with WeTravel, working on that to make sure that the information, payment information, registration information and stuff starts to flow. And we've got some updates with that, with also Passenger Manager and a couple other things that we're going to talk about with you today. So in order to do that, we're going to bring back our expert on such things, Christina Luth. So let's bring on Christina. Hi, Christina. How are you?
Hello, I'm good. How are you doing?
Doing well, doing well. I was saying we're very excited because we're actually have some rather important updates with the WeTravel API. And this is something I know that you've been working on for quite some time.
Yeah.
Exciting because a lot of the information we've been waiting for is actually now working. So
Yes.
What's going on? What's going on?
Yes, we're very excited that we finally have this stage working. So what we're doing now is we can pull in your booking information from WeTravel into the Passenger Manager application. So I'll go through that and show you kind of how that works. But basically what we're just doing is we're just pulling that booking information, some answers to their questions, which will help you with reporting when you're in Passenger Manager. So kind of get those quick reports. So I will go ahead and share my screen and get started and showing you how that looks.
Excellent. Excellent. And also for those of you who are using WeTravel, if you have not been in touch with Christina, she can help you through some of the processes involved in getting things linked. Her email and my email are on the screen right now, so please feel free to contact us. And okay, let's go ahead and share this screen.
All right. All right, so are you seeing my screen?
I am indeed.
All right, perfect. Okay, so right now I'm just on a test trip where we were able to pull in some booking information. So if you've been in Passenger Manager, you'll notice that this is the same trip page that pulls up for any trip that you have in this application. So same thing like all the other applications where there's a main trip page and then you can get to different information from there. So, and just a reminder to you, Passenger Manager is the application where you can manage the people who are actually going on your trip, where you can see them, you can kind of keep track of what they've decided to book and mostly run reports. If you are using WeTravel, the best place at the moment to manage your transactions, refunds, payments, all of that is directly through WeTravel. But if you are not using WeTravel, you can also record transactions right in Passenger Manager under the Transactions tab. So to just keep that in mind about how this application does work. All right, and so now for the new news. So we have this button here that gets the WeTravel booking information. So I went ahead and pushed that before we started the video just to kind of speed up the process a little bit. But you'll notice that if I go ahead and I push this button, it's going to clear away that date until it finishes the process. This does take a few minutes. It just depends on how many passengers you have. So as you might expect, if you have a trip, let's say with 200 people going, it's gonna take a little bit to pull in your data. So my best advice to you is if you have one of those large trips, just come back to this in a little bit when it's decided to finish up. All right, so since I already did run it, we do have the data that's already in here. So what it's done is it's pulled in the names of the individuals that are going on this trip. So just to show you an example of someone, we'll pull up this passenger here. So this is some data that you can collect from, so this Jane Smith that's going on the trip. So you can get information like their package booked, allergies, if they wanted to purchase insurance, and then, emergency contact information, all of those types of things. Now, an important thing to note here, if you are using WeTravel, then you might have noticed that when you set up your trips, you put in your questions to ask things like, what is your traveler type? What's your gender? What's your date of birth? Those types of questions. Because of that, it is very important that if you want to use the booking API the information to come out of WeTravel into Passenger Manager, it is very helpful to use the API we already have active to set up your trip out of the GTO system into WeTravel. That's how it matches up these different questions. So that is an important part of that. If you do have questions about wanting to get your trips to that point where you can use that, so then you can now use this second phase, I am more than happy to walk through it with you. And if you have trips that you do need help just connecting, so you have the data that are already in WeTravel, we can aid you with that as well. But best practice moving forward is to send all your WeTravel trips from GTO directly to WeTravel and then edit if you need to in WeTravel. All right, so I'm going to go back to the trip, and at this point, it might still be loading the data a bit. Okay, so it is still loading a bit. So then I wanted to point out a few reports that could be very handy to you. So first we have this trip insurance reconciliation report. So this is going to be very helpful to those of you, I'm going to go ahead, that are using insurance as an add-on, for instance, to the trip. So I'm going to go ahead and delete those quick. Okay. All right, so then what you're going to see on this report is just kind of information about what they decided with the insurance question you can add with your WeTravel creation over to from GTO to WeTravel. You can ask them if they want to purchase insurance, and that way you know up front if that's something they want. So this report here is grouping it by if they said no or yes. And then it's going to also put together their package information and their options selected. So when you're using WeTravel and you want to add insurance as an option instead of them purchasing outside of WeTravel, what will happen is the booking information coming into GTO will have these options listed here. So just to give you an example, we'll open up this passenger. All right, and so then now you can see the options that were added to this trip. They decided to add 2 travel protections. So it's going to tell you the total quantity that was purchased and then also the total of that option they decided to purchase. So what you'll see on this insurance report, so if you're trying to reconcile, you're kind of matching these total number of options to the total number of passengers in that group. So those options, so then you can see here they have 2 options that they've paid for, and they also had 2 buyers, so we're good. So that's kind of what you can match up in this insurance report. All right, and then we're going to go back to the trip and then look at the next one, which is the allergy report. So we'll click that there. Okay, and nothing came up just because this report, it records anybody who said that they had something other than none and a blank of the dietary needs and allergies question. So this group, just nobody had any allergies listed. So that's why this report is showing up as blank. But if you did have passengers with allergies, then you then have a list of those. Of course, if you had somebody type in something with a typo, you might have the occasional person who says none, but maybe it was just NNE. So, you might have a couple of those mixed in, depending on how somebody filled out their booking online on WeTravel.
Okay.
And then finally, another important helpful one is this flight manifest. All right, and so this is going to be just a brief report here with the passenger names, date of birth, and genders. So this can just be everybody except those that have canceled. So this is just a quick report that you can run to get the information that you need to send to airlines. And then if you use these areas over here, you can email it to yourself, or you can print this off, whichever you need to do. All right. So those are some of the most helpful reports that are out there. But then just to also show you where you can find some information. So you'll notice these fields here, these calculate a summary of what you have. So you have your booked number of passengers, which is everybody not canceled on this trip. A student and adult count, it looks like this trip just didn't ask the question of what their traveler type was to calculate student and adult. So that's just a point out to you that if you do want to keep track of student, adult, child, veteran, senior, that is a helpful question to ask in your registration. It is an option available through the creation from GTO to WeTravel. You would just need to select it. And then here we have a listing of all of the packages and how many people are in them. You'll notice that this area below is also categorized by the package they have chosen, with 2 of them being canceled. And then down here, you'll see your number canceled, so you can keep track of that. Any complimentary trips, which mostly what this is going to calculate is if you're using, again, the create to WeTravel through GTO, the way that it marks somebody as complimentary is it creates a complimentary discount code. Basically, they put in that code and it will offer that individual a trip at 0 cost. We find that this is usually the most efficient way to keep track of your complimentary trips without having to list a $0 package on your WeTravel trip and have the risk of somebody booking it that should have paid. So we do highly encourage you to use that complimentary discount code, and then it also helps when it can calculate off of the booking information coming back. It will then have the discount code matching here, and then it will add those up for you. And then finally, these 2 here is just a quick reconciliation of who said that, yes, I want insurance, and who said, no, I do not want insurance. If you do want that full report, as I showed you earlier, you do still want to click over here to this trip insurance reconciliation. So in addition to this information, this is your basic passenger information. As we did on a previous Coach and Go, which you can check out about rooming lists, that's your next tab here. When you want to go ahead and set up rooming lists, you can use this tab to ask the group leader to submit their requested rooming list. So that was, again, in a previous Coach and Go that we went through. And then that is just something helpful. Before you send that over, I would encourage you to just click that button, which will refresh and see if it's finished here. So that's just one thing that's helpful to do before you send that over to the group leader, just to make sure you have all the information that you wanted. All right, and then just another quick thing to show you on the home page. So of course, this is just our test trip. So you'll see there's only one test trip on this, this awesome travel company. But on your home screen, which again, this can be customized to you as a company. So we can add in different buttons for reports. These are just some basic ones. You'll see, again, that insurance reconciliation report, the same thing, except from this screen, you would then have to just choose which trip. Flight manifest, allergy reports, same kind of thing. So just showing you again, those reports are available in other locations as well, but the most helpful to make sure you have only the passengers you want from the one trip is to just go there and then click these buttons conveniently added there for you. All right, so that is the information about the booking API with WeTravel. And then just a couple things to note here again. So as I did mention a few times, I just want to make sure I do say this. It is very important that you send your trips from GTO to WeTravel and then edit from there. And if you need help getting that set up, we're more than happy to work with you on that. But that is a crucial part to making this information come back out of WeTravel. And then another just tip for you about setting up your trips in WeTravel, and this is whether you choose to use the booking retrieval out of WeTravel or not. When you set up your trips, once you have somebody who is booked, it's helpful to you to not change around the questions in your where your people are registering. When you move the questions order or you add a question after someone has already registered, the information on your spreadsheets and coming through the retrieval out of WeTravel can sometimes get a little skewed. So it's just helpful for you, if possible, to get that information in right at the start when you set up the trip before anybody has registered. And again, if you send it out of GTO, most of those problems should just be fixed for you. So just again, another helpful thing, just to send it right out of GTO. It's faster for you and it will work better for you in the long run. All right, so that is all with this.
And so basically, we have, in order to get the information out of it that you want, it's all dependent upon the information that you put into it. Correct?
Correct.
So yeah, so that's why it's important for you to use the API to actually build from GTO into WeTravel in order to get that same information back out again.
Right. And that's just because WeTravel has a great customization with those questions feature, but then sometimes those can be asked differently. So it's very helpful to us and to you if we can get that all matched up right away when you send it out of GTO. So if you do have trips that you really want to track in Passenger Manager, though, we can work with you on that. So we just need to contact us.
And again, if you do need to contact us, our email information is on the screen. Please make sure to reach out. Christina will help you with any kind of WeTravel questions that you may have, or if you need help getting things set up the right way or knowing how to get things set up the right way. Christina is our expert at that. And so she will be more than happy to help you out with that information as well. So Christina, along with this WeTravel integration, the API, and the use of Passenger Manager, we have a couple other smaller things that we kind of wanted to bring to people's attention today as well, correct?
We did, yeah. So we do have some updates that were made that are helpful for you. So we do offer, so the two things I'm going to show you quick when I share my screen. So the first one is that as we went through a previous Coach and Go where you could add multiple like $0 line items to your itinerary with a meal card. We talked about that in a previous one. Now what we're allowing you to do is also duplicate the same product. So the meal cards are another great example. If you're going to a theme park for 5 days and you want a meal card for each day, now you can duplicate it. So you can just add it right to your proposal without having to go back and add each one. So that's the first thing I'm going to show you. And then the second one is that we have made an update to notifications when you change the operations notes. So if you've already sent a trip to Trip Manager out of Sales Manager, then if a note is updated, which I will again show you in just a moment, then it will not only update the note in Trip Manager, but it will also notify the account manager for that trip, just so they know in case that's something crucial you needed them to know. Maybe you as the sales member had a contact with the group leader and you want them to know and have it on the account. So that is another addition.
And just a reminder, the operations notes will transfer from sales manager through the entire process. However, correct, if you've already sent a trip to Trip Manager, you can't change any of the itinerary products, any of the restaurants and attractions and stuff in Sales Manager. That won't translate over. Once you've sent a trip to Trip Manager, then those items are changed in Trip Manager itself. But the operations notes will go all the way through the entire process, no matter when you put them in.
Correct. Yes, excellent. That is our new update.
Hey.
All right, let me go ahead and show you quick where those are located.
Okay.
All right. Okay, so then I'm going to change my screen view quick. All right, so the first thing I mentioned was those duplicate products. So what you'll want to do is click your Add Products button. And then Add Products. All right, so this applies when you're adding a product, or if you decide later, oh, you know what, I really want them to do this one activity. I want them to do this one dining location multiple times. So you can also go back and modify it, but we're just for this purpose going to add it here. All right, so we'll just say miscellaneous dining. And then what you'll notice right here and in these questions is there's this duplicate trip product. So you check this box, and then now you're going to automatically have one, but you're going to fill in the number of duplicates you actually want to have. So for instance, if I want them to do this miscellaneous dining 3 times, I'm only going to change this number to 2 because I want 2 additional. So that's that number of additional products. If you accidentally put the wrong number, lower, higher, put it higher, you can always just delete one out of your trip ultimately on the list of products page. So I'm just going to go ahead and leave it at 1 and then save and close. All right, and then we're going to go ahead and save that there. And then we'll let it do, go ahead, and it's working on duplicating that product. So while it's doing that, I'm going to go ahead and show you where those operations notes are located. So that is in the operations preparation area. And you have this operations note field here. So this is a trip that has not been sent to Trip Manager yet, just because it's a test trip. But if you already sent it, you might see some notes in this field, but that's why this one is blank. So whatever you want to say, you would just type it right into here. And then once you click save, it's going to then take your most recent note, add it to the notes in Trip Manager, and then again, send that notification to the account manager for that trip. And then just a quick note so that those who are actively keeping track of notes in Trip Manager, it's not going to change any of your notes that you've already put into Trip Manager or maybe changed and deleted in Trip Manager. It's only going to add the most recent. So don't have to worry about that. It's just adding new. It's not going to change what you already had.
That's good to note.
Yes. So I'm going to cancel that. All right. All right, see if it decided to add that over. All right, so then now you can see it's gone ahead and it's added that miscellaneous dining. As I said, I wanted 1 duplicate, and there it is right there.
Fantastic.
All right.
While I have you, can you bring your screen back for one moment?
Yes. I'll go back. Sorry, I clicked it too fast.
I was going to ask if you could possibly, while you're in that screen, if you could go to where it says create payment schedule.
Mm-hmm.
Can you just show them real quick how we've added in now to put in a bulk payment instead of a per person payment?
Sure. So what you have now when you're creating your payment schedule is you have this field here that's called method of invoicing. So right now it's because I was earlier playing with this. So that's why it's changed to this bulk group. But normally what it's going to stay at is this per person, but you can change it to this new option called bulk group. So the difference is per person, that's going to be for a majority of your trips, where the individual is paying one price is a per person amount, or you're sending an invoice to your client, but charging again a per person amount. But if you want to send them invoices in installment chunks, you can choose the bulk group option. This is different than those invoice line items in that it does not change your per person trip cost. So let's say your trip cost is $500. If you choose bulk group, it will stay $500 per person quoted on your proposal. It's just a matter of how you want to change how you invoice. If you want, for instance, let's say there is a fundraising organization that wants to pay a part of the trip, so the person going on it doesn't have to pay it, then that $500 might become $450 per person. That's where you use those invoice line items. So just want to make that distinction there. The invoice line items, those are what decrease the cost per person on your trip. This bulk group method of invoicing is just a method to invoice. It does not change your trip price.
Excellent. And that, and the reason we did add that, we had some of our users that were asking, we just have somebody pay $1,000 deposit. So it wasn't based on a per person rate or anything like that, but they wanted the ability to be able to say, okay, here's your invoice for $1,000. Here's the next chunk of $2,500. So it does give you that option to either do it on a per person basis or on a bulk payment basis too.
Right. So that's just to show you, if you were to click add payment in the bulk group option, you'll now just see these options here. It's the same drop down. Maybe you have deposit. And then if you wanted to say, I want a 5% deposit, it's going to calculate that for you out of your estimated trip cost. But if you don't like that, you can just override it and say, okay, well, I want it to be 1,000. And then we'll just say the due date. And then you just go ahead and save it. And then it will show up here as the amount that's due.
Absolutely perfect. Great.
All right. All right, I'm going to go back. Okay.
Now we're done with that. Thank you so much for that. I mean, it's, there are a lot of little things that we do like that we will push out. And on the weekly updates that we send out, we'll make sure to highlight those, even if we're not discussing them on Coach and Go. At least that way you will have a list of updates that happen each week in our system itself, as well as getting the supplier updates. You'll get system updates, and that email goes out every Tuesday. So keep your eyes open for that if you are a GTO user. And again, a lot of these updates, especially like with the operations notes, with the payment types and things like that, or the way to actually input your payments, those are because of your feedback. So don't ever hesitate to contact us with ideas that you have, or with suggestions for seeing if we can have functionality kind of tweaked a little bit. The reason we're doing a lot of this is because of the feedback that all of our users have given us. So don't ever hesitate to reach out to us and ask us if there's a way that we can do it to kind of make it a little bit better for you. If there's not, we will definitely tell you. But if it's something, even if we have to put it on our development schedule, we will go ahead and do that as well. We want to make the most efficient and best system for our users. And so we really want your input on that. So keep that in mind. As well as that, as you can see, GTO Coach and Go happens every Tuesday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. So make sure that you tune in every Tuesday. And if you're not watching us live, again, subscribe to that YouTube channel. Make sure to follow us on LinkedIn, like our Facebook page, do all of that so you can keep up with all of the content that we are producing to kind of make your life a little bit easier as well. As well as GTO Coach and Go, every Thursday, we do offer Destination Dispatch, and that's where we bring on experts from different regions, different destinations that have group-friendly travel. And we give them a chance to showcase their region. So you get a chance to have new, fresh ideas on things to do with your groups. This Thursday at 2 o'clock, we're bringing on one of our experts from Loudoun County, Virginia. So make sure to join us on Thursday at 2 p.m. for Destination Dispatch. So thank you so much for joining us. And Christina, thank you for coming back on and sharing all this information with us today. And again, if you all need any more help or questions about the WeTravel API, Christina is the person to reach out to. So make sure that you do reach out to her with that. And for the rest of you, again, we thank you so much for joining us. We hope to see you next time. And again, keep up with us on our Facebook page, on our YouTube channel, and on LinkedIn as well. Thank you so much. Have a great week.
Thank you for watching this episode of GTO Coach and Go. We invite you to stay connected with Group Travel Odyssey on Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn, and be sure to check out more of our media, including Destination Dispatch and the Destinations Beyond Expectations podcast. Please visit our website, grouptravelodyssey.com, where you can learn more about GTO and request a demo. Group Travel Odyssey, business without boundaries.